All right, good evening, Facebook family. It may be the afternoon where you at, it might be the morning time, but here in Chicagoland, I want to say good evening to you. My name is Carvell Bailey, and this is another episode of Life in Basketball. We're here right now in the Basketball Studios in Chicagoland, Illinois. The show is being sponsored to you by the full year-round skill development academy, where we enhance and develop individuals mentally, physically, socially, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, all through the game and the vehicle of basketball. And so again, this is Life in Basketball, life applications, and we take real basketball situations and we bring them together and figure out how they what type of synergy they have and how they kind of go hand in hand. Today, he always working, hard working, never slow down, but I got him on, so I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time because it's already the evening, and I appreciate you guys with us. But without further ado, I want to introduce to some of you guys, but present to most. You don't already know him. My man, Joe. Check feeling.
What's going on, Val? I'm glad to finally catch up with you. Get on there.
Man, yeah. So now, tell me a little bit about, or tell us a little bit about Joe Chapman, the person.
Man, where you want to start? It's a lot to it.
Man, just I'm about you, and then I got my questions and everything, but the people that just don't know you or seen you but don't know a lot about you, let them know something about you. Oh, I'm sorry. Before I start, Joe, the book is also being brought to you by Understanding Life Through the Game of Basketball. I don't know how, one of my most prized possessions. All right, go pick up the book. I put the link in the comments. Understanding Life Through the Game of Basketball. You want to go pick it up and check it out. So, Joe, tell us a little bit about you.
Well, man, first thing to know about me is I'm a mama's boy first. I mean, everything that you want to know about me starts with my mother. And I mean, that's my whole means of who I am today. Started with her. And, I live my life based on the things she taught me and she installed into me. And that's the basis of who I am as a person now, is all the things and, gratitude, the things she gave me growing up. I feel like I have to do the same thing for the next generation. So to learn about me, first, we got to talk about her. I think just being a woman who can, take care of her kids and work hard and provide when she can. It went a long way to establishing who I am as a person. We didn't have a lot. Grew up in the Roseland area. We moved to the Wild Hunters after that, 122nd. And, we lived in 8 places before 3rd grade. And a lot of people don't know that story. 73rd and Stewart. And we lived everywhere. So people can say I'm from the Heights or Chicago or Ford Heights, South Village. I kind of bounced around all the time, and that's the basis of how I grew up. And that's how, that's the basis of who I am, as a person who can thrive under any circumstance, any environment, because I seen my mother do it. I seen how hard she worked to provide for 3 kids. I seen what she went through to, put clothes on our back, knocking door to door for food, going to churches for, handouts. Never forget where I come from, and that's what makes me the basis of who I am now.
Got it. So you are 100% blue collar. Would you say so?
Oh man, every day I would definitely say that.
Okay. Now I know that you are in, the Milwaukee area. And we do hear noises. We, hear pops and things like that. Some people may think is, some people might jump, depending on where you're from, what those sounds are. You want to tell us where you at right now before we continue, so people won't be like, man, where the hell Joe at?
Well, I'm in the gym right now. I mean, I'm in the gym all the time. If I'm alive when I'm in the gym, that's just who I am. You know, I'm here working out kids that want to come in and shoot on the guns. Got one of the Dr. Dish. You know, it sounds like a gunshot, and we just got kids in here working.
Okay. So that is the basketball gun that you hear popping and going off, not actual gunfire or none of that. Okay, cool. So now I didn't know in the hundreds or even 73rd, the Marquette area, whatever. I didn't know that. I always thought Sauk Village, Chicago Heights. So that's kind of where my first question stems from. As I always go in some of the other places that contributes to this question. But how did Chicago Heights and Sauk Village raise you and mold you into the individual that you are today? You can throw in, the hundreds or 73rd and all that, but more importantly, like how did that area, mold you into the young man that you are today, or the man that you are today?
I think it molded me in a couple ways. In Chicago Heights, the first love of the game started at Ashland Park and King Park and Bruce Hodges Park. We go around playing in all these parks, and hey, it's a blue-collar neighborhood. You're gonna have to learn how to play. You got to get the hell off the court. It's just that simple. And you sink or swim. My pops used to take me around and let me play with the older guys. I never played with people my age, and it helped install in me that drive, what I really wanted to do. So Chicago Heights really taught me how to stand on my own 2 feet. I was there for only a couple years. But Chicago Heights is my home. Everything I do, everything people hear about me, it says Chicago Heights, Joe Chapman. And, I represent it to the fullest. And I think it means a lot to me growing up. And it still means a lot to me. I still do a lot of things in the area. And I look forward to going back every chance I get to give back to my school and to the surrounding communities around me.
Okay, great, man. A very good buddy of yours, a good buddy of mine on last week, Ryan Holmes. And, I know me and Ryan been talking some, things with us, kind of, being business associates and things. But, talking about buying some of that neighborhood back, redeveloping that neighborhood, bringing out the best in the people that's in that neighborhood. And I know that you feel the same way, because as you say, you always put when you can, and we'll get back, to that later. What's the park with the cage in the Heights? Is that King Park? What's the cage?
That's Ashland Park. You think about Ashland Park.
Okay.
That's right off Lincoln Highway.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's Ashland Park had cages for a while. Bruce Hodges Park had cages for a while. There's a lot of cages out there.
Yeah, and I was talking to Nigel. Nigel just chimed in. Nigel, what up, Coach? And I was talking to Ryan, man. People really, the basketball ability of those that came out the suburbs. Even you figure somebody like you from Chicago Heights, or if you go other places, people are so quick to say, I'm from the Chi. You know what I'm saying? And it's really a laughing matter, because when you meet somebody from Chicago and you hear somebody say Chicago, be like, well, where? I'm from Sauk Village. Be like, man, I'm from 67. You ain't from Chicago,
Right.
But like, you really hone that in and not afraid to say, I'm from Chicago Heights. And if you don't know, then you either need to go look it up, or you will know what Chicago Heights is once we get done on this court. You understand what I'm saying? That's
absolutely. I think a lot of people put in their minds that you from the suburbs, but they never been to the suburbs where we from. I mean, we got the lowest income, lowest poverty. You come around here, you probably looking to close your door, close your windows. We got to get past Lincoln Highway as quick as we can.
Right.
Realize, how we living out there. We're blue collar city. So when you come out there, you forget, you're thinking about the surrounding neighborhoods, maybe like Matson and Olympia Fields, and, things of that nature. You're not thinking about, Ford Heights, Chicago Heights. Because once you come through there, you're going to realize we're going to leave our print on whatever you're thinking about, basketball.
Yeah.
On with anybody and in any gym and any time.
Yeah. Yeah. And the best, man, humble guy, I know personally, you're fun to be around, we kick it, we have fun and laugh. But, I think when it comes to being a professional, you definitely, epitomize that in so many different ways. And I'm sure that we will get into that. But now, so, you talk about Bloom, and, I know that you go back and, help Bloom in the summer with the camps and things. And, you played at Bloom, standout player at Bloom days, and the history. Me and Ryan talked about it. People don't understand, when they hear Chicago Heights, it's either Ford or it's Bloom. So talk about like that history of putting that Bloom jersey on. And I know the game this past year also, but even at your age, to still put that Bloom jersey on, what does that do for you?
It was one of the best moments of my life. I mean, that school means so much to me personally. Just to touch on a few things. I mean, Bloom historically got some of the best players ever to come through here. Raymond McCoys, the Brandon Coles, the Larry McCoys, all of McCoys. I mean, you name one of them, they all can get down. And then all the 70s era. And then, you throw Bloom Trail in the mix of, guys in that J.T. Coleman and Wilbon Perry, all those guys that came before me. I think, with a coach, who's in the Hall of Fame as a sophomore coach, Coach McGuire, he's going to let you know the historian parts of the game and let you know who did what and what you can do when you get into the door. And don't think your stuff don't stink.
Right.
All these guys have to go through it too. So make sure you leave your mark.
Now, Bloom, we kind of speeding up a little bit, but you leave Bloom and you go, instead of staying in Chicago, which, and I'm going to ask you, did you have any other offers? But you go to Marquette University, right up the road, making a name for themselves. Why Marquette?
Coach Green was the first guy to come and see me play. He was coming to we were playing Lincoln Way my sophomore year in a super sectional. I think it was sectional finals. And he was coming to see Kevin Menard play, a guy who signed at Marquette. Didn't last long, but he went there. But he came to see him play. And, as a sophomore, I was guarding him a lot. That was my job, to stop the guys that could score. I didn't mind guarding the Roger Piles and the guys that was in our way to get to our goals. So he was the first guy to, send me a message, send me a piece of mail. And to me, that was, important. I'm loyal by nature. And when a guy like that says he wants you to be a part of the program, I started to get interested and learn more about the program myself when I was still in Bloom, just to know more about the history.
Right.
The Ellis's, the people that came from Chicago, Dr. Rivers, D. Wade, the Cordell Henry, the guys that came before me. I tried to make sure I knew what I was getting into. Todd Townsend, I just tried to make sure the guys that came before me, I get an understanding of the school before I actually go there. You got to do your homework on places you want to go to. By having conversations with people, I had a better opportunity, a better chance, and a better knowledge of knowing where I was going.
So now you said a lot of things in that one statement, Chap, and I'm gonna pull 3 out. One, you said that Tom Crean was the first coach to come see you play. And at times to be loyal to those that's been loyal to you. You know, I mean, you get people that want to jump on the bandwagon later once you're rolling.
Yeah.
But what about, you know, when what nobody paying attention? So it's really like players have to go where they're wanted,
Right.
not where you want to go. And if he was there from the beginning, that means he wanted you. You know, everybody got Coach Calipari dreams and aspirations. So players try to big time or look over good programs and individuals that want them because of where they want to go. Well, it's a million other people that want to go to those schools too. So for any parent out here listening or any player that's out here listening, those coaches, you're probably going to get the benefit of the doubt because they want you. I mean, am I correct, Chapman?
I agree. I tell a lot of my players going through that recruiting process now, it's not always about that, you know, big name. It's about where you're going to fit in the most, and that coach actually wanting you, not just about the game of basketball. How can they grow you as a person? And a lot of these places don't care about the person. They care about the product. And you have to make sure you get to the bottom line of, in that recruiting process, do they really care? Is it the assistant coming all the time, or is it the head coach? You know, is it, you know, phone calls at night they're giving you, or is it, you know, automated mail? You know, little things like that goes a long way in the process. And I think kids need to learn and trust the process earlier. You know, even if it's that first person that do come to your door, that probably means that's probably the one that cares the most. You know, it's going to be bandwagon people that came my junior and senior year. When I became first team on state, it was teams that came out of the woodworks, you know, with the bigger names in Marquette.
Right.
But they didn't have the relationship that I had with Coach Crean.
Right. And, you know, I remember interviewing Brian Notry, and he was talking, saying, like, Lou Henson was the head coach, but his relationship was really with Jimmy. You know what I'm saying? Because that was the one that he was attached to. You know, so and you know, it's a little bit different because Jimmy had leverage. And you know, I mean, if people don't understand leverage, I really admonish you to what leverage is. But like Jimmy had leverage, so he could do certain things that will go across with the head coach. Some assistant coaches can't do it, and I mean, you absolutely right. Some are just car salesmen, you know, and I'm pretty sure that you know, tell the players in your parent consultation component to our company. But at the end of the day, basketball is a business.
Yep.
And, you know, their coaches are going to get the best player possible. Don't go get those players that fit into their system. They may just go get you because you can play, but they don't know what type of issues that your family dealing with. They don't, you know, they don't care about nothing but wins and losses. And you know, and I saw the picture with you and Coach Crean and the comment that you made, and we can get into that, you know, when we talk about Crean in a minute. But the comment that you made was, you know, good coaches, you know, change games, you know, change the outcome of games. And I think that was so powerful, you know.
Yeah.
You know, people may see, you know, think of Coach Crean as that fiery guy, but, you know, me and you having those conversations, you know, you really got me thinking in a whole different light about Coach Crean. You know, in a minute we will get into that. But the second, Coach Crean was there to see somebody else. He wasn't necessarily there. He was there to see somebody else, and you took advantage of the opportunity.
Right.
And when it was all said and done, even if Coach Crean got that particular independence to see one person, but he left with somebody else on his mind. So players need to understand also, you know, the way that we call it is like it's money in the gym. When them coaches there to see other players, even if you know you're the last place team in the building. That's the opportunity for you to make your mark. So you took advantage of the opportunity with him being in the building looking for somebody else, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I tell a lot of my kids, clients now that it only going to take 10 minutes to know who's the best player on that team. My high school varsity coach, who's also in the Hall of Fame, Coach Meyer, he used to preach, it doesn't take 10 minutes to know who's the best player on the court. Coaches got a lot of time to look at a lot of people. You're going to have to stand out right away by having the best body language, picking up full court, picking up teammates, high-fiving, doing all the things that doesn't seem cool to the regular eye. You're going to have to learn how to do to stand out in the Chicagoland area. It's a million kids with talents. How you going to stand out? And that's the things that, we got to take it as a business, just how they take it as a business. My mother said, hey, you got to use basketball like they're going to use you. So we got to make sure that at the same time, when they're using you, you're getting something out of it as
well. You got to, man. The last thing that you said about why you chose to go to Marquette. So even after Coach Crean came and saw you there to see somebody else, sending you some letters, but you did your homework on the school, on the coach. You're just not going blindly. And so many kids be so happy to get an offer and they sign. I never understood players like, Coach, it wasn't like this, or I didn't think it was like this when they was recruiting me. Well, you didn't go on a visit. You didn't talk to the normal students. You didn't talk to the players. You didn't do no homework. And whatever it is that you're doing, if you're talking credit, finance, you have to do your homework before you get involved into something that major, because these schools got $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year on the line for you. You understand? So once they give that money, what makes you think that they're gonna just let you coast through? Like, basketball season is a full-time job. People don't understand that. You know what I mean? So can you kind of go through the day-to-day act? What time you used to get up to what time you used to go to bed in college, so people understand it's a full-time job?
Well, this is a great point, because I'm trying to get this across to my teams now that I'm coaching, and a lot of clients that I do have, is the work that goes into being a student athlete in college. It's the typical, when we got there in June and July as a 17-year-old, we have to wake up at 5 a.m. to do weights every day. In the summer, when you want to go out and think about, hanging out and partying, we were establishing the culture already of what we had to do to win. A lot of those guys that already coming back, they knew what type of team they had already and where they was trying to get to the Final Four year. So we had to wake up at 5 to 7. We had to lift weights. It can be sand workouts, it can be hill workouts, it can be in the weight room, it can be anything and everything to make you try to break down and quit. That was their job, is to get you through the toughest parts. And then after that, we have to open up camp. At Marquette, we had to open camp. Back then you had to open camp. That's the time when the coaches can kill you.
Yeah.
So at this period, when the kids come into the gym, we go in there and we actually go through an individual with them. And the coaches take us through a live segment of individuals, maybe lasts about an hour. And then we go to class from 9 to 12. And then before the kids go to lunch, we'll come back for another individual before they go to lunch. And after that, we'll go to study hall. Then we have study hall for a little bit from, I say, 12:30 to 3. We go to study hall. Then after that, we'll come back and end camp and do another individual with the kids and, go through it with the coaches, because there's like their contact period at that point. Mm-hmm. That's their contact period with us. So we basically had 3 hours of individuals, 2 hours of weight room and class before 4 o'clock.
Right.
Every day in the summer. And then after that, you'd have to go do your homework. And we still have open gym, mandatory open gym, where guys can pick and choose when they want to come. You're going to be there not because the coach is going to say anything. Well, you got these leaders who's great, like D. Wade and Travis Diener, Robert Jackson. They're going to make sure you're in there. And it's not going. I'm going to tell the coach, "Hey, I'm gonna make sure you get in there." Put it that way.
Right.
Get you in there. I keep it friendly. But that's the type of leaders that we had. And that's the type of things you want to know before you're going into a situation. Who are the guys I can lean on before I get there? Who are the guys I know it's going to help me through my times when I break down and not give up on me, because they know what the bigger picture is once you get past that hurdle.
Yeah, man. And, so the question that I have for you for, again, all the parents, all the players just watching this is in Division I yet or not in college yet. When you talk about those individuals, when you talk about weights, when you talk about sand workouts, study hall, are all of those components individually recognized with the practice? Like, so is weights considered practice? Is sand workouts considered practice? Is study hall considered practice? Because so many people think, well, hey, I overslept, but I can go to the gym for practice. But is all those things considered practice?
No, I mean, that's just the part of going into the program, part of the coaching. None of that's the practice. I mean, we still got 3 hours of practice on the court. Coach Crean used to go 4 if he listened. He used to go 4 hours. Just throw that out there. But yeah, none of those, is considered practice. So when these kids, high school kids, have an hour and a half of practice, what are you doing to utilize the rest of your day? Are you still going to lift weights? Are you still shooting on a gun? Are you still doing the things to enhance your abilities mentally as well as physically? Because they're going to try to break you down. So you should try to get ready before that breakdown happens.
Right. So, you all have a great season that year, and you all go to the Final Four. I don't know if everybody that's watching this or that will see it or hear it later, if they understand that, you were teammates with guys like Travis Diener, guys like Dwayne Wade, and you was that freshman coming in, and you went to the Final Four. Take us down that memory lane, Chap, when y'all won the game to go to the Final Four. You're a freshman straight out of Bloom, Chicago Heights. You always watch One Shining Moment, Luther Vandross singing on TV. Now you going to the Final Four, man. How did that feel?
I mean, just to hit you with a little history with that One Shining Moment, I'm actually on that like 3 times that year. Just dancing around, being happy. I mean, that was an unbelievable season. I think sometimes we don't live in the moment and enjoy it like we should. But the season was great on many standpoints. I mean, to play with guys that maximize their potential and got the best out of each other every single day and love the process. Yes, it was hard, but we loved the process of getting there and doing that. The actual game, I remember Wisconsin losing before us, which was a great thing in Elite Eight. And I remember the fans standing up cheering for us before we played Kentucky, which would never happen, ever, any circumstance. So just to have, a sea of red, cheering for, Marquette is something special about that sticks in my mind now that I'm living in the state of Wisconsin.
Right.
And I know how big the rivalry is. Just to have that moment, to see that, and go through that moment, was special. The actual, in New Orleans, I mean, it was unbelievable. That Final Four, you think of all the teams that make it. I think it was 64 at that time. 64 teams making it, and you're the last 4. And, guys are, starting to hear more about Marquette. It's just we're on the map more. Excuse me. It was just unbelievable experience to go through and to cherish those moments. Guys are, we're 12 years out of it. We're still all in group chats together talking. you don't get that normally. You know, guys really did care about each other, and they still really do. You know, we're all part of a family that extends not just our own. We all love each other past basketball, and we all want to see each other do well. That was the best part of it. And when we see each other, it's like we haven't missed a beat. You know, we're still, you know, on one accord, which is great to see.
Yeah, so, you know, that's a great transition, man. And I just posted the link up, you know, for my book, Understanding Life Through the Game of Basketball. Go and copy it, go and pick it up. But I actually got down here after we talked about the Final Four. The word is brotherhood. And, you know, you kind of talked about it, you know, and I know that, you know, certain guys get married, you know, you all come back, you know, for the wedding and things of that nature. And although basketball season is good, the games, the hard fought practices, but for me personally, you know, different guys, and they all concur with me. The best part about being on a basketball team is just those moments in the locker room or in the hotel or after practice with your brothers. You know, like, you know, you can go to war and damn near fist fight when you're on the court because it means that much to you. But when it's all said and done, y'all can laugh afterwards, you know, for years to come. And those are the things that you really miss. Yeah. You know, just having that time that you may have taken for granted, those locker room conversations, you know, the things that you do. I mean, would you agree, or you got anything to add with that, just brotherhood that y'all was able to build at Marquette while you was there?
Yeah, I back a little bit as well. I mean, the camaraderie we had at Bloom. I didn't want to skip too much over Bloom because it meant a lot to me. That camaraderie, that togetherness, that the everyday grind of you in the battlefield with everyone who's coming up in the same circumstances as you, you know, the poverty level and just everything that we all had to go through. And we get on that court and it's like we're not friends at all. We getting after it. And, you know, no one took it personal. You know, no one was like, all right, man, get it. That's where it all came from with me. That grit and grind, you know, that camaraderie, that brotherhood. It stuck with me. Those guys stick with me now because I know how much work we had to put into it of being a good team year in and year out. It took a lot for us to get the grades. I mean, guys, you know, had to get eligible every year. I mean, every week we had to see who was eligible. You know, that was a big hoorah. Who made it this week? You know,
yeah.
Suit up. I mean, that's the brotherhood we go through, you know, as brothers going through it. And that was, you know, honestly, the hardest thing to give up now is having that brotherhood, that camaraderie every single day, going through the trenches. And by March or April, May, you guys see the benefits of getting to know each other on different levels. That brotherhood is something that can't be replaced because it's genuine. And people have to go through that to understand it.
Beautiful, man. That's totally beautiful. And you know, I've been to a lot of different camps. I've worked a lot of different camps, but it's nothing like. I mean, I haven't seen nothing in any other school that I've worked at, basketball camps or be it 5-star or any of those things. It really doesn't matter what year you came out at Marquette. All the guys just seem to have the same love and respect for each other, no matter who your head coach was, you know, who you played with. But it's like when, you know, you got that blue and gold on, you are an Eagle. Yep. You know what I mean? And that I definitely appreciate from a player standpoint and, you know, from a coach's standpoint, where you all appreciate and respect the front name on that jersey to the T.
I agree. I think one of the main things that separated us, that it didn't matter the year we all graduated. It didn't matter the coach we played for. As soon as we see each other, it's love. You know, playing in these alumni tournaments, the basketball tournament, and none of us really played together. You know, we played, you know, maybe with one or two of each other at a time, but it's like we all know each other. We all, you know, get out and hang out and get to know each other's families. it's like we're all connected in a deeper sense. And that's one of the things that go back to of knowing where you're going and knowing the people that have been there before you, and that brotherhood of people who's going through it. They need to know it's more than just, them. It's people,
right.
80s era, 70s era, my era. It's people who's going to be after them. It's all part of the same thing.
And I mean, from my understanding, let's call a spade a spade. The one got it just don't get it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because there's some that come through that just don't, that just can't accept or open up to be a part of that. And, you can kind of see, guys wanting to reach out and grab them and bring them in, but some guys just don't. And, you can see those are the guys that's on the outskirts, and they probably never really had that type of brotherhood with everybody else because they just chose not to be accepted for the most part when people was trying to accept them. I mean, that's just what I've seen over the years, with some of those guys, names remain nameless, but I mean, that's what I noticed, man. Now, let's talk Coach Crean, man. First of all, what people don't understand is that Buzz Williams was on Coach Crean's staff, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so now you probably played for in college. We're not talking about at Bloom, but you probably played for two of the most fiery dudes that was on the same staff at one time. Tell us some things about Coach Crean, because you kind of talked to me about, Coach made sure y'all was in summer school. If I'm not mistaken, you graduated in 3 years, was able to kind of go on and get your master's. Like Coach Crean took care of y'all, but you don't really see that from the outside looking at him with his hair, and doing all that type of stuff. But tell us about Coach Crean, man.
Well, he's a fiery guy. I think that's the thing that separated him the most from all the other coaches. He didn't come off as a lie to begin with. He came off as, hey, this is what you're going to get. This is what I expect. And that's what I needed. I needed that father figure to help me become a man. And he broke me down. He made sure that I did things the right way. And if I didn't, I was going to run. I was going to wake up in the morning. It was consequences for your actions. And a lot of times growing up, it was never consequences for coming in late. It was never consequences for gang banging. It was never consequences for selling drugs. It was just, I was just living, Now I'm running to guys that actually care more about me than they did about the product of winning. And he was that guy for me who cared more about me, the person, than me getting 20 points a game. And that was important for me to grow as a person. And yeah, he was fiery. Yeah, we had 4-hour practices. Yeah, we screamed and cursed and grabbed and tried to choke each other and fight and all type of stuff. But that's part of the process of turning you into what he envisioned you being at the end of your 4 years. I think that's every coach's job, is to make sure you're better going out than you come in. And he's most definitely made me a better person now. And I'm grateful for all the things that he's done for me then, because I can see it now. It's reaping the benefits of it now. You as a kid, we always say, I don't get why coach want me in the gym, or he's screaming down my back, or he's trying to hold me accountable, but now you understand why.
Right.
Being a kid from the inner city, the eye contact and, things that we weren't used to doing as a man, not being actually taught all the proper ways of doing it. He was that guy to make sure, hey, these is my things that I live by. You shake someone's hand, you look him in the eye, you make sure you do things the right way. And, he made sure that we stay on top of all the little stuff, because they actually were big stuff and life skills he was teaching. Right.
Yeah, that's big, man. Like I said, the things that you used to just tell me about Coach just gave me a whole newfound respect for him. Barry Bradford, what up, man? What up? Y'all doing big things out there in KC yourself, man. OB. So Chap, now, so you were able to finish in 3 years and then go on to get your master's in 4. Is that right?
So I was on course to graduate 3 years. I mean, but being a 4-year player, you got to finish that out. But by going as a 17-year-old and staying all 4 years, I was on course to graduate early. And I think that's everything everybody wanted to do is graduate early. I just think that's huge step for us as inner city kids or as, suburban kids living in those surroundings that we lived in, is to not go home and stay there and go through it and get those credits and actually enhance your brain, enhance your mind. I'm studying things like theology. I mean, come on, we're not Catholic, but where we from, we Baptists, we got to get that. But, learning different religions and learning how they operate and learning how people move, that's the things that take time. And the summertime was great to learn that as a 17-year-old, as a freshman.
Right.
It's so now I'm actually studying and doing things the right way. Study hall, they on top of you. Even at 8 a.m. at 17 as a freshman, you have all the coaches there waiting for you to get into the class. Make sure you're on time.
Right.
Make sure you sit in the first 3 rows. So they was trying to, tell us, what this is about to be about. And it stuck with me all through college. I mean, obviously you have your times here and there, but at the same token, you're going to always know that foundation that they installed in you and get back to it. I think me staying all 4 years and the summer times really helped me establish who I wanted to be and what I wanted to study.
Okay. So now Crean leaves, and from what I understand about the story is that the AD and everybody kind of called the players in, and the players wanted Buzz to stay. And, they thought it was a great fit. Buzz get the job. I know you were gone, but tell us something about Buzz Williams, man. I mean, he's one of the most influential coaches, I would say, in my life. And I just met him probably about 6 years ago, but when you meet certain people and they just come off 1,000% genuine, you can't do nothing but want to learn more and more and more and more. So, tell us about Buzz Williams, man, what you got from Buzz.
Well, I was not
even after coming back up working camp and those type of things too.
I think it was important for us to embrace a new coach, and because you never know who's going to be the coach. You're going to support the coach when they leave, whatever school they go to. You support your head coach, but you also support the situation of your school because the school represents a lot of part of who you are too. And Buzz he had a lot of the same quality as the Crean. I think he was a lot fiery and he cared about his players. It didn't matter their race or where they came from or junior college or whatever. He cared about the people. And he cared about making sure you're doing right with your money and making sure you're saving the right things. He didn't know me at all. I mean, he didn't have to say, hey, Joe, you want to come to my house? Or you want to, work these camps? You know how to save your money. He made sure he looked out for his players that wasn't even his players. Mm-hmm. And that's the genuine stuff you don't get from a lot of coaches. They bring back he could have easily brought back all of his New Orleans players or, brought back stuff that he did in different schools. But he made sure to embrace the culture of Marquette and bring those guys who's been a part of the program. He made sure to embrace that. And he throve off that. I mean, guys that, like Jarrell McNeil, guys that were seniors when he came in, and Dominic James and Wes, it could have been hard for them to accept a new coach, but the way Buzz is, it was easier transition for them to still have a successful year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. With Buzz, man, and Buzz is one of those guys who's almost like Rain Man with numbers. Buzz is a number 2, and if you can't keep up, you'll get lost. But he definitely makes you think. So as you say, Buzz asking you, taking care of your money and doing all of those things, which is definitely needed, the financial education and stuff. But he was talking because you left and you went overseas. Can you just tell us about some of the spots that you've been? You are now a retired European pro. you've won numerous championships and goals, or what I'm saying, whatever they might call cups, whatever they may call them overseas. Just tell us about some of the different places that basketball has been able to take you.
That's a hard question. I mean, I've been so many places, seen so many people. I saw 18 countries in my 11 years, played in 7. I could have played a lot more, but like I said earlier, I'm loyal by nature. So when I got to one of my favorite places of all time is England. I think I ran into a great coach. He was a player coach. He was fiery. He was another guy who came from the kind of the same background as me. We got along. We didn't. We fought. We hugged. We cried. I grew as a player and as a person around him. And I stayed 5 years in England just because I was around the right people, the right fans. When I tore my Achilles there, I couldn't get home. They didn't allow me to fly home because I could have got blood clots or any other thing. Mm-hmm. So I stayed there throughout the process. And when I tell you, people brought me food every day and washed my clothes. And they looked out for, like I said to people, they looked out for me as a person instead of me as the player. And that was far more important to me, is to be around people who cared more than it was about chasing the money. And to me, that was the glory of my success, is being around the right people. I played in Czech Republic, played in Japan, Mexico, and all of these places I'm mentioning are all of my favorites. And I won in all of these places. And not just one championship, we won multiple championships in different places. And that helped me grow as a person. And I don't remember the championships as much as I do the people that made it, the brotherhood, the camaraderie, the families that I met in every country. That's what made these stops special. It's the people more than the country.
Cool. And now, and I asked Ryan this too, and I know that a lot of people just, they say, hey, I want to go to the NBA, but they don't understand that you can make money even overseas. But now it's kind of watered down. You get a lot of people that just want to go overseas to play. And as you said earlier, your homework, a lot of people don't understand some of the things that aren't seen or aren't talked about when you're talking about being a professional overseas. Mm-hmm. You and I had a long dialect about that one year at camp, and you was kind of telling me some things that I didn't know. I never played overseas, but it was just things that I heard about, just with, you're not getting your money, or, may take your passport. You was giving me, a couple jewels to, pass on to some of my players. For the people that's listening, the guys that may be trying to go overseas, want to go overseas, I know you talked about finding an embassy when you first get over there. Can you just drop some jewels, man, about what people need to do when they go overseas to play basketball to protect themselves?
Yep. First thing, you have to realize and understand where you're going, and what's the economic situation there, what's the political situation there. Would you fit in? Would you be an outsider? You need to realize where you're going and do your homework, because it's not necessarily about the money, it's about your livelihood. And you're going to have to understand how to move in and out of a country the right way. And that's how I would say it. You got to learn how to move the right way in these countries. And one of the things that I've learned, and a lot of times of where I won, is once you get off that flight, you got to know where the embassy is. Where is the nearest embassy? If I lose my passport, make sure you have a copy of your passport before you go, because you can still get home on that copy. Make sure when you do land, you're not just to get to learn the American players, get to learn all of the domestic players, because it's more of them than you. So when something goes wrong in that country, you're going to have to figure out and have that relationship, that brotherhood, that camaraderie with the Japanese player. How are you going to tell him, hey, my kid is sick, what hospital do I need to go to?
Right.
If you don't get out of your comfort zone, you're going to get to know these Americans just because. And I tell people all the time, that's one of the only times when we all from Chicago. You play with some Chicago guys, when you're at home I'm from the West Side, South Side, I'm from Maywood, I'm from here and there. But when you cross them waters, hey, I'm from Chicago, man. Ain't no, hey,
right.
this is where I'm from. We all got to stick together over here.
Right.
But that's some of the jewels I drop is make sure that you know what an embassy is. Make sure you know who your teammates are, not just the Americans, because they're going to have the coach's ear. A lot of the times you got to deal with translators. The coach is not American. You're going to have to learn how to make sure you know what the translator is saying, if he's telling you the right stuff or is he lying to you. The coach might say 12 things and the translator say one word. You got to make sure you trust people and get out of your comfort zone. And that's the hard part, because you might not get paid on time. You might not want to practice, but if you don't have everyone's ear and you don't have the 9 Japanese players on your team here, they're not going to sit out with you. They're going to say, screw you, I got my money. They're going to send you home if you don't practice.
Right.
So you got to make sure you build those bonds, that relationships, and that start early in the process of knowing where you're going. And if it's a 1,500 job or it's a 3,000 job, you got to make sure if I'm getting 1,500, make sure I get 2 meals a day, make sure I get a house, make sure I get a car, make sure it's the right teammates around me. That might be the better deal than the 3,000 with bad teammates or a losing team or who's known not to pay their players. You just got to know where you're going. And sometimes the best place for you is maybe where you at and stay on that team. People always want to move, but you got to make sure when someone's loyal to you, you got to make sure you're loyal to them. And that's one of the things that happened to me. I won the MVP my first year in England, and I came back my second year. I had different offers. I had higher offers and different places to go. My second year, I tore my Achilles, and that year, the next year I came back, they offered me back because of the bond and relationship I had. And most people, being 26, 27, coming off Achilles, most people say he's done. But that team came and they took me back. And, we won all 4 championships that year, and I won the MVP again. And it was the loyalty part that made me want to keep sticking out more than keep chasing that money, keep chasing the money, because the money don't last. That relationship with people and that you put into that country and that time you put in with learning the culture of different places, that's the stuff that lasts the most.
Right, man. So you want to know where the embassy at, make you a copy of your passport.
Oh, yeah.
If they take it, you can still get back home on your copy. So all aspiring people want to go overseas, understand those things. And as Joe said, for your safety also. You want to know what's going on. You've seen the movies where if it's, political unrest or whatever, and you just not knowing, you're just trying to go play basketball, but you don't know what's going on. You need to do your homework. And I'm talking about the things that aren't always talked about, because we always hear, hey, such and such overseas getting that money, doing good. But what about the things that people don't always talk about? And that's why I wanted to ask Joe that question. But now you also mentioned something to me, Joe, man. You said that being overseas, you spend probably 18 to 19 hours of the 24-hour day by yourself. So that really builds you into a man, because you have a lot of personal, find out who you are. Can you just kind of talk about that? I remember we were walking one day and we were just having this conversation, and you was telling me that. When I thought about it, I'm like, okay, you might have 2 practices. After that, you don't know nobody, really. So you by yourself, man. So, tell us about that.
Well, and then we backtrack a little bit, because that talks about, doing your homework of your college, doing your homework of your high school, being around the right people, the right mindset, going into situations, knowing that I have to get out of my box. Being a kid from Chicago Heights, South Village, I got to get out of my box. I can't just sit in my room all day. I got to meet people. I got to read books. I got to keep my mind engaged. Because you do only have 2 practices a day. And if you're not married, like I was at the time, Now I'm married with two beautiful kids, but at the times, when you do have two practices a day, what are you going to do with your time? Who are you is going to really come out. All right, if you want to be the guy that's looking for all the girls, then that's going to be what you're going to do. If you're a guy who wants to empower his mind, you're going to get into these books. And, if you're a guy that wants to travel and go to different countries while you're in the same country, you try to figure out who you are as a person, and get better at it. Because it's times where it can break you down. The devil can get on your back out there. You don't have to. People, it's a different time zone. People you love is sleep, and the people who you care about, they can't call you at the times you need them to call. So you're going to learn how to be a man and to how to grow up, because it's times where I've been overseas 11 years, so you miss that relationship with your family. People are dying. Both my parents passed away while I was overseas. I had to get on those long flights home, and things like that. You have to learn how to deal with, because that's the thing that you can't be taught. So if you do looking for these jobs, make sure it's the right environment for you and the person you're trying to be.
Right. Okay. Now, and I didn't ask the disclaimer. I will, we're not behind the scenes, but I always ask the disclaimer: is there anything that my guest doesn't want to talk about? Because this show not about scandals, not about it's all positive and all educational. Again, understanding life through the game of basketball, man. It's you take the good with the bad, the ups and the downs. But I want to make sure that I ask all my guests that. I didn't get a chance to chat that, but is there anything that you don't want to talk about? We already got into most, but is there anything that you don't want to talk about?
No, man. You know me.
Okay.
If people ask me, I'm going to keep it real, because I think your testimony is definitely going to help someone else who's going through a similar situation.
Right. And so my next question, bringing me to that, is, for anybody to know your story, they understand how close you were with your parents, especially your mom. As you said, you were overseas when both of your parents passed away. But I know that when your mom passed away, that was, like heavy. I mean, and, God bless you. I can only fathom, but talk about, like, were you ready to throw the towel in, Joe? Or did you say, you know what, my mama got to see part of this. Now I'm living the rest of this out for her. Like, how was your psyche after that with basketball?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, this is things that a lot of people go through. I think when important people die in their lives, either two things happen. They either face it and move on from it, or they drown in it. And I was raised, and my mama taught me the ways of, hey, you're already halfway through this. You got to keep it going. So when she did pass away on a Friday, my brother called me. I was in Mexico at the time, and he's just calling me hysterical. Mom's gone, mom's gone. I'm like, what? I just talked to her the other day. Don't make sense. Nothing happened. But we rewind, when we moved all these places, at the time, both of my parents were in the 80s, that 80s era, that freebase and that, that things that caught up to their body as they got older. Yeah, they both got better as they got older. They both believed in God. They both lived the right way. But that time, it really hurt them on their bodies. So, fast track back to the situation, when that happened, my mind was, racing, what I'm going to do next, who really cares about me, who really cares about the situation, whose family is going to be there, throughout the ordeal, not just when it happens. So that's the stuff I was already plotting in my mind, and going through the situation that kind of helped me grow as a person. And who I wanted to, be going forward, and who I wanted to live for, and the things she wanted me to do, in my life. And that's the things that carry me through now, is the things that she wanted me to carry through. I maybe stayed home a couple of days, and I had to get back to, what I love to do, because I think I would have drowned in the situation if I stayed. That environment is intoxicating if you let it be. sorrow, they love company. People love to down into it. And I'm not that type of person. I see it. I see what's going on. I imagine it. I can see, my mom sitting there cold and lifeless. I can see the situation, take it on and move on from it. From the situation, I know I got to keep going. I know it's better thing for me than just staying stuck in the situation.
Okay, great, man. So, even though each individual may deal with it differently, you chose to, kind of meet it head on and, continue on with your life. And so that her legacy can continue within you is kind of what I take it. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, great, man. And I know that as you started to show off, you said you are her, so for those that know you, they understand how sincere that is, how much that means. With your lovely wife and your twin boys, so I know that you pour out to them, the same way that you were poured out to. Now, kind of want to change gears a little bit. Let's go back to the Bloom days. It was a game against Brother Rice, I believe.
Yep.
That was a big controversial game. But that's the starting point. The ending point was after you overseas, having fun and all that, y'all replayed that game, so to speak, at your current age. And Dwayne Wade came back, kind of played with you, your brother, everybody know Miami Heat and Flash and all that. Talk about that game, Joe. Talk about back then and then talk about the one that Dwayne Wade played in. And why is that so historic when we talk about Illinois basketball?
Well, first off, us and Brother Rice, we're not a traditional, we wouldn't play them, until it comes to that time. But we wasn't supposed to be there. Our team wasn't that good. The seniors and juniors we had, they all were really good individually, but they didn't play well together as a team. And me and my one of my best friends, Antonio Cool, we were sophomores, and Robert Davis, we were, rolling on the sophomore team. We didn't want to come up there, deal with these fools losing.
Right.
So, we get to roll in on a varsity team. We start playing well, we start to get a little name for ourselves, coming in, being ready to play. And then we get into the tournament. I forget our record, but I remember it now, 14-13. We're 14-13 going into it. And we get hot. We start beating all these great teams. We were maybe an 8 or 9 seed. And we start to play all these teams on the road. And we start taking out everybody. And we get against, Brother Rice, a team that maybe lost 2 or 3 games all year. But we finally start playing together. We finally brought into coach system. We finally brought into each other. And now all these individual talents that we had, I mean, you got to remember, we got 6 neighborhoods into one athletic program.
Right.
So, I mean, we should be dominant every year with the talent that we have, with other things going on, but personal lives, it just didn't shake that way. But going back to it, that game, it played like a Cinderella story. I mean, we played slow down ball. We never play that way. We're trying to slow the ball down. We know they average, really high points. We're trying to slow the game. We're trying to play to our advantage, which is our height and athleticism. And we know they can shoot it. So we just tried to stall the ball when we had to, knowing we're trying to keep the ball out their hands, get hot, we're closer. So we just made sure, it's 40-40, coach went, with his best player at the time was Phil Alexander, Big Phil. So, he shot his shot. And me at the time, I knew, he ain't not making this fadeaway at this point. This dude barely shoot fadeaways, but now he want to shoot it at 40-40.
Right.
So I made sure to position myself on the other side, and I went for the tip. I mean, some people say it count, but at that point, at that time, it's so many clocks, and shot clocks, and it's a lot of things that go off at one time. So at that point, one went off. The gun went off. It was before the gun, but it was after the clock. So it counted at one and went off the other. But our coach said, "Man, we out of here. Let's get off this court." We might get mobbed. It's full of white people at the time on one side, full of blacks on the other side. We trying to get out of here quick as we can.
Right.
So that game happened, and it was 42-40. We ended up winning. And 10 years later, after it happened, now I'm overseas, and we replayed the game. And it really showed on a lot of different stances, economically, socially, where people go in 10 years. This is the stuff that really stood out to me of where these people who's in better positions than we were at the time, where are they now, and how their lives taken off in different ways. And our stories didn't match up when it played on ESPN and Fox Sports. You can see it's a big difference of where people grew up and their lives. But when that ball threw up, it was like it was 99 again. Guys were trying to get after it, playing their hardest, they were doing it. It's the same crowds that was there, the same cheerleaders, they tried, God bless them. They tried to get to do their thing too. It's the same ball, same 8-minute quarters. It's just like you're reliving the dream. For a lot of us, this is the last time they're going to play.
Right.
And you throw into the mix the Dwight Howard coaching them and D-Wade coaching us. I think D-Wade team lost to them. D-Wade team should have played us. Richard should have played us. Bloom, if he didn't lose to Brother Rice back then. So, he had a little teeth in the game. He was, excited for it to come back and have him a part of something, Bloom-wise, and something I did was really great to see. So that was a great moment for all of us. Just to relive our childhood and to actually, at that time, like I said, we never know how to cherish the moment. So really we start cherishing it now, each other. So I say how much we love each other and, we wish each other well. Because at the time when you're going through it, you're not really sensitive to people's needs because you're so driven on, what you want to do or where you're trying to go. You forget about what people are going through personally, and you forget the process.
Right. Yeah, and you just said something that made a lot of sense. 10 years, and within a 10-year span, and based on economics, resources, availabilities, and just opportunities, so at times, as with a basketball player and a coach, you may be able to hide certain players and certain offenses, hide certain players in different systems. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can hide, kind of the economic structure to a sense, but after a 10-year span, you really get to see it where, based on careers or based on just different routes and avenues that people took. Because mind you, in high school, everybody don't get to go off to college and play basketball, one. Everybody don't go to college, two.
Right.
And then third, everybody that goes to college from high school doesn't always go with basketball on their mind. So they're going with something different on their mind to, go to school for a certain trade or whatever and take up the family business, or just go to get a, education, go to play basketball. Once your eligibility is over, you drop out or stop going. So, what you said, man, after 10 years, and to probably just go back and look not only at those crowds, but also at the players that's playing, like where they are in their lives economically. And that just kind of goes to show you how disproportionate the neighborhoods are, the regions are, and really how the country can be on a, disproportionate level when it comes to economics, man, so, and I never thought about that, but it's magnified.
I agree. That people don't realize how much that pays into it, how people economics growing up and how they, situations that they live in. is a product of generational curses of how they've been, stuck down this much. And after you get out of high school, what do you want to do if you're not going to college? Do I stay around here? Do I know anything else? People get afraid of getting outside of their comfort zone if you never had a chance to learn it at a Brother Rice, like, people do at a Catholic school like that. We don't get that same environment. So a lot of us get stuck in staying where we are and, getting a job that we can get and be comfortable in our environments instead of thinking outside the box. And it's okay to pick up and move and find something else. But that's not saying there's nothing wrong with that, but people get stuck in what they're accustomed to. It's a generational thing. And, it's certain things like that. I mean, I could have been that way. I didn't even have a bed in high school. I slept on the floor. It's just things like that drove me to get something instead of using it as a crutch to why I'm here. And it just showed me in 10 years where people's minds were and where they're trying to get to and where we still got to go.
Yeah, definitely, man. That's big. The economics, and I teach financial education now. Also, so I see it much more prevalent and much clearer now than I did beforehand. And so I get information about all of that later. To be able to help everybody out with just financial education. But now let's move on. Let's talk about camps, man. You and I, we work. The Marquette camp faithfully. I didn't work this past summer, but I think that does something for all coaches and or all players that really sincerely care about kids. Because when you go and work these camps, if you don't like kids, you shouldn't be working a basketball camp. I don't care how good of a player you are. But if you don't like kids or like empowering, educating, trying to teach kids, you shouldn't work camp. And I'm saying that because it's all Joe, it's always that one dude like he has no business being here. You know what I'm saying? Like can't stay in camp, don't want to do nothing. But every year, regardless what type of season you had, injury, whatever you're trying to accomplish, you always found Marquette and really work all three of these sessions. How did that, and I know that you now running Chapman Basketball Academy, we're going to get into that in a minute, but working camps, man, what does that do for you other than having camp feet? And I'm going to have you break down what camp feet is too. But, I mean, how does working camp, what does that do for you?
Wow, this is a great question because these athletes need to know what they want to do before they're done. They need to get into things that they want to do in the process of still playing. I think we missed that a lot. We got guys that they wait till they're done or they play past their prime to figure out what they want to do. I didn't have that mindset. I worked at camps when I was in school. And as soon as I ended, I worked it all 11 years of my professional career because I knew I wanted to not necessarily coach, but I wanted to empower kids. I wanted to make sure that I learned from the coaches and learned from great people, all the coaches that come from everywhere to run the camps, to be around all the guys, but give to the kids because it's not ours to keep. This all this stuff that we earn. What are you doing just keeping it? Guys that done playing, I don't see why they just not giving back. It's not yours. The coach didn't give it to you to just say, all right, you got it. That was selfish of you to do that. So I started working camps, and I worked Rick Majerus camps. I did all the Marquette camps. And I started realizing this is what I wanted to do, regardless if I had camp feet, 12, 14 hours standing on your feet all day, and you're dealing with all these different personalities. Every kid is different. You can't treat them the same. And all the parents are different. I mean, you got to make sure that you're not thinking about yourself and all the stuff that you learn by being in different at college and high school, all the stuff. It comes right back out. So I'm never really not playing the game. It's still part of the game. It's just a different process of it. And that's what the camps did for me, was it showed me what I can do when I'm done and still be a part of the everyday grind, the everyday process of empowering myself and the kids.
Right, right. So if none of y'all picked up on it, it was a running joke we used to always have, man. Camp feet. And the good thing about Marquette camp, unlike other camps, was overnight. Like, I don't know if I could ever work another overnight camp, man. You know, because you up from 7 in the morning to 11 at night. Then you might have dorm duty. No. Yeah. Marquette camp is a day camp. You know, go from like 7 in the morning meetings, and, you know, at 3 o'clock, you done. But when I tell you, at day 3, all the players got jock itch, you know, and they and all that. So, the game kind of slows down. But all the coaches got what's called camp feet. You've been on your feet, man, like you've walked probably 20,000 steps a day. And, then for, people like Chapman, myself, or any of the old players, the players would play afterwards. And, people like Joe, people that don't understand, well, me first, I'm still active. So, hey, I got the gun, I'm going to go in there at lunch or after they get done playing. I'm going to put up 1,000 shots, because I still work out. But, somebody like Joe, and here's where the professional aspect come in. It's summertime. You don't really have to do nothing. But Chat will put in work after the coaches meeting at 7 in the morning. Camp starts at 8, but by 7:15, 7:30, Joe getting that early morning workout. Then he coming back at lunch again to get another workout. And then in the afternoon, he's playing. So that's 3 workouts a day. And I always tell people the year after Jimmy Butler was a rookie, when he came back his second year, and Jimmy is a Marquette guy, like we talked about, the camaraderie, the brotherhood. Jimmy came up there that year, and I specifically remember because I was taking notes. Jimmy would be in the gym with like Mo Acker, with you, with Steve Novak, but Jimmy was in the gym 3 to 4 times a day working on his game. But it wasn't just Jimmy. As I said, it was you too, Joe, and, not just in the gym, but in the weight room, all those things. Talk about being a consummate professional.
And I think that started in college. When I tell you, when we had to wake up in the morning and do all of this stuff, that's where it started. And that professionalism, it just carried over. I think if you're not trying to perfect something, you got to change something in your game every year to stay relevant. You couldn't play 11 years without adapting to new guys coming out every year. You're 30, you're going to run up to a 21-year-old. You got to learn how to adapt your game to how the game is changing every year and to the system you're going into. You got to learn it. You got to process it. You got to prepare for it. So that was always my mindset, is staying in the gym. It kept you away from trouble. It kept you, focused on what you had to do. And it kept you grounded too, because you always see other people doing it. It's not just you that's in there. It's people that's always getting better. NBA players, overseas, it didn't matter. Everyone was always in the gym getting better at what they had to do to get better at for the next year. And it didn't matter if you're retired, or you're a camp coach. If you had that drive inside of you, like you said, to get better, we used to work out. Me and you used to take me through drills, and we used to have a full sweatshirt, and then change, and now we got camp feet for 12 hours. Right. I think people don't realize how much time and pressure it really took for us to go through that process. Yeah. It's just something that you have to go through and see for yourself to really appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I definitely thank you for mentioning that, man. And you get some pros that understand and they can work out on their own, but you get some pros that understand, or just some people too that I kind of need an accountability partner. Mm-hmm. And so it was times when where you did work out with other people, or you could have worked out by yourself. But the weeks that I was there, you made sure before I got there, you would call me and say, look, this is my schedule. Let's, can we set up these days? Or when I got there, like, Val, can you work me out? And, you know, my company was just starting, and, you know, obviously I need a good, you know, face to go with the program. You know, I mean, I had like Cartier, he's coming on Thursday, played for me at Malcolm X and Truman, as a Globetrotter, you know, but you gave me some credibility from a standpoint to where a seasoned professional vet like you understood the craftsman and the work that I put in to my job and my craft, and you had no problem with wanting that for yourself. And, you know, I mean, people may not understand, you know, I mean, you now with Chapman Basketball Academy, but coaches need coaches. You know, pastors need pastors, barbers need barbers. You know, and so even though you doing your thing and great now, but you know, we would go in the gym and you know, you can tell them, you know, you can probably tell them better than me, but it didn't matter if you was Joe Chapman or we was, you know, kind of both from the south suburb of Joe, like you ain't working hard enough. You know what I'm saying? Like I would get on you the way that you expected me to. And I think that if you didn't have that trust, you wouldn't have even asked me, hell, can you work me out these times?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, you know, you and Joe Nape, you guys gave me that drive, that inspiration of, you know, the stuff that I'm doing now. You guys gave me that, you know, will and thrive to drive to want to do that. And that accountability. I think we really, you know, we hit on it a little bit, but that's what we really was about, the accountability. And we thrive on trying to make someone quit and throw up. And,
right.
You know, that's just, you know, that's the drive we have. And you really push me to that level all the time. It's not just when you felt like it. It's always all the time. And you're going to have to do this all the time. And that's the stuff you want from, you know, anyone that you truly care about is, can they be that same person all the time and not when they feel like it?
Right. So now, how does retirement feel? You know, done playing. You know, I'm pretty sure that your knees probably feel a little bit better. Has it hit you that you done with this thing in terms of from a player standpoint?
No, I don't think it will, because I got out of the game at a good time. I could have played another 3 years, and I could have played at a high level. But it was something about my craft. It was something about training kids. It was something about getting stuff going for myself, running these camps and making a name for myself. And it became a crossroads for me, where it was time for me to really make a decision if you want to still go or if you want to, you know, get this other thing going. Because a lot of times we play past our prime and we miss that God opportunity that's right in front of our face. So I decided to, you know, act on that. But of course, I miss the game. I love, you know, being around it. I play every chance I get. I still get up and down with these high school kids who challenge me. They still lose. I still love to compete. You know, regardless if you're a guy or a girl, I mean, you won't be able to beat Coach Chapman in any drill, because that's how I still get down.
Right.
Playing side, I still get a chance to play, but I do miss one of the things. One of my vets, Rico Hill, used to tell me is when you get tired of living out of your suitcase, that's when you know you're done. Because people forget, you're gone 10 months out the year. You know, you're missing people, missing family, things that's happen, right? So it's going to come a point you're getting tired of just, hey, I got to pick up and leave. Suitcase, I barely unpacked. Now I got to go back. So that was the stuff that was starting to drag mentally more than physically. The mental drag of being gone, and that was starting to wear on me. But as a player, I still love to play. So I'm always have that drive of getting better myself and making other people better.
And you know, people don't understand as we closing out now, man. And I thank you for your time. But what people don't understand, you know, in basketball, as in life, you have to understand your role based on the situation that you're in. You know, in life, you got to know where you at and understand your role based on at that time. from a basketball standpoint, you know, you understood your role, and your role is that I'm gonna shoot the leather off this thing. You know, now, I can go by you if I need to, fastest, but I'm mentally tougher than you. So I can get to the cup. Understood your role, and I think the person that expressed that to me the best was Steve Novak. Now, people look at Steve; he's a journeyman. Steve come in the gym. Most people might come to the gym, work on their ball handling 15, 20 minutes, and then work on their, one-on-one moves, and then get some shots up and all that. Steve say he coming to the gym, he work on his ball handling maybe 5 minutes, and the rest is shooting. And if people have, you played with him. That's your brother. Steve has an uncanny ability to make jump shots. But Steve said he understands his role. He said, Carvel, why am I being here working on my ball handling for 30 minutes and they not paying me to handle the ball? And I think that you understood your role as a professional, even when you would be in the weight room, you would be working on certain things that enhance your ability to live out your role. And I think a lot of people don't understand their role, so they can't really condition their bodies and their minds to fulfill that role.
I agree. And that started with my mother back, to the source. I broke my leg in 8th grade in 3 different places, and I had an ACL tear at the same time. Doctors were saying you'll never be able to play the same way you were playing. And she took all my Jordan videos and said that dream's over. Larry Bird is your guy. You got to look at it, try to master your game. And that took a lot out of me. You got Jordan posters everywhere. This is the age of Bulls is just amazing. I got to study, old white slow Larry Bird. And he taught me how to master his game. He mastered what he was great at. He didn't try to be something he wasn't. He wasn't as athletic. He did what he did the best. And Steve was another guy. Travis Diener was another guy. The guys that maximize their potential. They don't live up to who people think they are. And I try to tell these kids now that you got to learn who you are and be the best in that role before you can be something else. Learn how to maximize your own role on a team before you're trying to think about doing other things on the court, because you can get paid a lot of money if you know how to do one thing really good and really hone in on it, because you can make a whole life and a whole career out of that.
Exactly, man. So now, take us to Chapman Basketball Academy. Business that you started, CBA. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I started last year, around this time last year. I started. I was going to go play about January, February in Mexico. But I started to have an idea of what I wanted to do. The jobs wasn't, it's getting watered down. The jobs wasn't paying like I wanted, so I wasn't going for anything. So I decided to, start personal training. And one of the coaches here, Corey Wolf, asked me, do I want to work out one of the girls, to get going. And I worked her out, and she happened to be the best girl that's around here, and she has a drive that was like mine. And I never seen that from a female player. Because I just didn't have a lot of experience with them. So I got started with her, and from one person, it grew in that first 6 months to 60 people. So it was about my time to leave, and then I made the decision to stay. And with that decision being made, I started the company, and it really took off within that first year. Have over 140 clients. And the things that I've learned from all my great coaches and all the camp coaches and all the people that I've learned from, I'm pouring into the kids on a daily basis. Like right now, it's 10 o'clock. I'm still in the gym. Just because I know that's who I am. And that's what CBA stands for, is things that it stands out because I put the time and the effort into it every single day. And, my life experience and my life tools I can kind of share with each kid and show them, the different ways or different paths they're going to take and try to take them there quicker than they supposed to get to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. And I mean, I know that it's not just about basketball, which you never have been, if it's camps or with CBA. And you made a post today about time management in about 24 hours, and it seemed like it was probably a disgust post, like you was just disgusted because they don't get it. And we know a lot of time the youth of today just don't get it. But can you talk about that post that you made and what's the importance of time?
Yeah, I mean, especially it's a few things because kids need to learn how to utilize that 24 hours. That 24 hours is a long time if you know how to do it correctly. You probably have 7 hours in school, so you have to make sure you're doing that the best of your ability. But the time after that, you have to know what you have to get better at and the things you're trying to thrive for as a person. The things you're trying to get to, you're going to have to put the most time into, whether you're into other sports, whether you have, family or girlfriend, boyfriends. It doesn't matter. You got to learn how to utilize that time because you got places you're trying to get to in life. And kids need to realize, you can waste your time with the wrong people, in the wrong environment, my situation, or you can learn how to maximize that 24 hours where I prioritize where I'm going to do my homework. I make a priority to set my clothes out for the next day early in the day. I prioritize to get in the gym and do my work, even though I might hit football earlier in the day. I'm gonna make sure I still come in here and shoot on my fall sport, and my other sports that I do. It's just about maximizing that time and knowing where your time and effort needs to go to, and not going towards the wrong things. And a lot of times, kids forget about knowing how to have fun and knowing when it's time to turn up a notch.
Being effective and being efficient.
Yeah.
Is basically what it is. If it's anybody that's still on with us, type in effective and efficient. You have to be efficient with your time, meaning that, you have to maximize it, but then you have to be effective too. And I tell people, they be like, how long is your sessions? I say an hour. And they be like, an hour. And I say, like, literally, after the first 15, 20 minutes, you probably gonna go throw up. I mean, you laughed about me and you take onus and getting you to keel over a little bit. Meaning that now you working and now you kind of went to a threshold that you never knew that you could get to.
Right.
And so you have to be effective and you have to be efficient in what you're doing. And I know that you are doing all those things with CBA, and it's great. I definitely take my hat off to you. So now, man, what I always do is I call it the hot seat. Few questions for you, and then I'm gonna let you out of here so that you can get out to the gym and get home to the family. But my chat would be, who is the best high school player that you played against throughout your high school career?
I mean, even now, best player, my generation, and I just stick to where I'm in.
High school.
High school is center, Eddie Kerr.
Okay.
Forwards, David Moss. Antonio Cool, my best friend, went to Bloom too. But by far, one of the guys, point guards, is Devon Green. I mean, he don't get a lot of credit. He didn't go play in college or anything spectacular like that. But I tell you, somebody who pushed me to be the best I am, and he's still giving buckets out now. I mean, he's unbelievable talent,
Right.
And he deserves his due. And I think he's really a good player and a great person. But he by far represents our era of good players in our neighborhood.
Okay. Here's a good one, and I want you to, just throw it out there. If they come to you later, you just had to say, hey, man, I had to give an answer. Who's the best Marquette player from your freshman year till last year due to put on a Marquette University, other than Joe Chapman?
Only played 1 year with D Wade, but I mean, that dude was unbelievable, right? But I would say I played 3 years with Travis Dean, and that guy, I mean, he just maximized his potential, being 6'1", 160 pounds. He talked the most crap. He get under your skin. He's the best leader I ever played with. So I would say he got the most out of his ability as a person and as an athlete. And he made the best out of everyone else. And I would say he was the best player I played with for that longer period of time. Guys after me, I mean, like Wes and Jarrell and Dominique, they were all freshmen, so they were kind of still going. But definitely Travis. I mean, he just made the game easy.
And I mean, Travis shot after big shot. I mean, it's just something about his toughness. His self is almost like he from the West Side or Chicago.
Definitely.
Back down and what you want to do. You do something else, but at the end, dude, man, hats off to Travis. Time, man, that's a big time answer. Put in the work, and he bit that he even retired and came back coaching staff. So that was Marquette. So now my last man is what would you like to see change with Chicagoland basketball? And I mean Chicago, the outlying suburb. What would you like to see change?
More unity. Just like we talked about today. We always talk about where we're from instead of seeing a bigger picture of where we're really from. Because they put that on us at an early age of represent your city, represent your hunted, represent the west side. We from the burbs, we the best, or we from the south side. We need to unify because we got more in numbers than we think. Yes, it's a small basketball community, but Chicago is small. We represent a large portion of things, and actually just come to the table and discuss a lot of it. We got a lot of bright minds if we put them all together and utilize it. So I would say unity is one of the things I would love to see more of, because like you say, like everybody say, it's the city of haters,
Yeah.
And that's the thing I hate people saying, about my city is we're a city of haters. No, we're not. Just people don't like people, and we ain't gonna put, deal with BS. So I would think to be unified with the people that are actually doing great, to have that unity. I think that's something we all can have and get to more of.
Right. Now, that's a great point. People talk about unity. People talk about, more skill development. I hear those same two answers often. Now, I did ask Ryan this. When y'all went into double overtime, that shot count.
Ryan's a hater, right? He's from the east side of Chicago Heights, so I'm gonna throw that out there. So, yeah, he a hater, so it definitely counted. You was in the building, you probably said it didn't count either. But they gonna give me the benefit of the doubt at Bloom.
Right, yeah. Definitely still got them last 4 seconds on tape, man. I still got them on tape. It's crazy. Y'all was going back and forth. But yeah, no, chat. if people are in the Marquette area, well, in the Wisconsin area, they want to get with CBA, is there any way they can get in contact with CBA, get in contact with you, any way that they can do that?
Yeah, I mean, you can get in contact with me, basketballcba.com. You can we have an Instagram page, Chapman Basketball Academy. It's on Instagram. And, you know, you can get in contact with me on Facebook. So I'm here.
Okay, cool. So the website is basketballcba.com.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Basketballcba.com. Reach them on IG, Chapman Basketball Academy.
Yep.
You know, get in contact with them. You know, if nothing else, you know, just go and see how a retired professional gives back to the kids. You know, I always say as a head coach, you know, head college coach, it's a certain way and certain things that I do. But as a retired journeyman European professional, you know, go and check them out. You know, if you know some people in the Wisconsin area, send them to him. You know, does a great job mentally and physically. He's gonna get you prepared, gonna get you ready. You know, plus he got drills up the butt. You know, I mean, man, just you know, all the time. You know, definitely age specific. You know, so go and cba.com. And you know, I got the link to the book again, Understanding Basketball. Go check it out. Go pick it up. And then closing, man. I always, as every time we on the show, everybody should be reaching for the top because it's crowded as hell at the bottom. They fighting like trying to get out.
Yeah.
You working your way to the top, man. Chap, I appreciate you coming out, man. I appreciate you giving me your time, as I like to call this, from Chicago Heights to Greater Heights. And this is part 2. Part 1 was with Ryan. Part 2 was with you. And part 3, I'm going to wrap it up Thursday with my man Cartier. Even though he's from Richmond Park, but his family from the Heights. So he kind of, you know, get that Heights little card a little bit. So 3-part series with all professional players that come from one area that nobody think they can make it out of, man. And I take my hat off to you for doing what you're doing. Continue to do it. And we'll definitely wrap sometime soon, chat.
Yeah, blessings, brother. You keep up the good work, too. Godspeed.
All right, appreciate it. All right, my people. See y'all on Thursday. Peace. All right.